Hello, everyone. Peter Dennis here, and welcome. My guest today is Karen Joy. And Karen, welcome, and thank you very much for being here.
Thank you for having me, Peter.
Good. Karen, this is all about channeling. Would you mind telling us, please, what led you to become a channeler?
I think watching other channelers was what piqued my interest, and having a regular practice of my own meditation and my own working on myself and releasing all that I needed to release allowed me to very easily move into channeling, being open to the idea of it, and also knowing from messages that I've heard from many different channelers and others that when you are sort of ready and open, anyone can be a channel. And so
Mhm.
I because I released all fear and some people in my family have said I'm sort of fearless. I just went for it. I was like, oh, let's try this. So yeah.
Uh, yeah, in my experience, almost anybody can channel, but the real question is, are they ready to channel? And have they released a lot of that fear? Can they kind of open and step aside? Yeah. Um, you've been channeling for a little while now. How has it affected your life? Any changes that you notice?
I feel much more calm, and I do talk
Mm.
out loud to myself more than I used to, which I don't think is odd from hearing the messages that are coming through. A lot of what we create, we do it with our voice, whether it's a vocalized voice or the voice in your head. And I'm learning how powerful our voice and the sound vibration that we make with our bodies can be when we are experiencing life as it happens. And
Mm.
so it has caused me to be much more aware of the sounds I make and what I say.
Mm. Yeah. I'm sure it's raising your vibration as well, which is contributory to a calmer, easier life.
Yeah, it's interesting because I found just recently, um, several people have come to me when they've had some pretty severe issues with, family and emotional things going on. And I'd never thought of myself really as a therapist because I'm not, let's just qualify that. I'm not trained as any type of therapy except in nature and forest therapy guide. I am trained in
Mhm.
nature, but talk therapy and psychotherapy, those kind of things. However, what I found is that when my heart asks for guidance, when people come to me looking for help or maybe just looking for someone to listen, when I tune into that, I'm able to listen more deeply and to say the words that need to be said, and allows me to provide more benefit as a person connected in relationship with those other people. And so hopefully I can grow this practice and help others to learn to listen more deeply and also be
Mhm.
able to know what sounds they need to make.
Mm.
And by that I mean words.
Yeah, I know when you're channeling, um, there's a theme that seems to be recently, anyway, running through much of the messages about the heart
Mhm.
and connecting with the heart. The heart's a portal to the divine, and really connect with your heart and that kind of thing.
Mhm. Yeah, that's a very powerful message, and I feel it more and more that that's our center, and I think it's coming through not only from the messages that are coming through me, they're coming from many other places. They're coming from science, they're coming from other channels, they're coming from religious places, people that are in sort of indoctrinated into different religions. There are messages of this coming through in many different ways now. So I think so that the message can reach as many people as possible.
Mhm. Yes, we've heard of the Sacred Heart, for example.
Mhm.
Yeah. Now, Karen, you channel, I guess, a being or an entity known as Source. And on the one hand, we're told that we're all one. And it appears there is another hand here that says you're channeling Source, which is distinct from you and from me. Are you able to kind of reconcile that, or maybe shoot one of those hands out of the water? I'll bounce the ball into your court anyway. And what's your
Yes,
reaction to that?
it's hard to say because what I channel comes through as a very high vibrational energy, and I've heard it called source. I've heard it called, some people use the word God, which is a very powerful word for many because of the indoctrination in religion, all of that. But what I will say is that the energy that comes through is reminding me, and hopefully will also remind you, that we're all connected, we're all one, it's not separate. And so when you label it, and I think this is the reason why they will not provide a name. So we've asked them, what is your name? Who are you? The thing about what comes through and the messages that come through is that these are messages that are coming through all of us. They are connected to all of us. They are not separate. And when you put a label on it and you say, this is source, or this is God, or this is, Karen Joy, that draws a line and creates a wall of separation. And so what is coming through is reinforcing to us that we are all in and of the single energy, the single source point. And so with our language, I think the word source or source point energy is probably the best way to describe it, but it's in all of us. And so I'll share the metaphor that it was more a visual that they shared with me, that when you channel, you think water, you think, a channel coming through with banks on either side and this energy streaming in. But what it's more like is diving into an ocean and going as deep as you can. And then you are in and of that entire ocean without feeling separate from it. And so that was the image they gave me when trying to sort of explain it, because we're trying to explain it through our minds. And we can only really know it through our hearts. And I think some of the messages that came through today were a little more clear on that point, that our mind tries to categorize, label, and separate so that it can organize information. But this is not that type of information.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you very much for clarifying that. And your reference to the messages that came through earlier, just for the audience. We did a few videos a few minutes ago, and Source really emphasized connecting with the heart, releasing fear. And the third one was, actually, I've written it down here, the connectedness of all of us. So, yeah, these will be on YouTube, I think, pretty quickly, and on my website as well. So, Karen, would you be ready to bring Source in, and I can have a chat with Source?
Certainly. Just take a moment. Yes, and so we are always with you. We remind you that we are in and of the same energy, you see.
Yes, I was wondering if you'd like to elaborate in any way on Karen's explanation of how we are all one, all connected.
Certainly, and it is a difficult thing because of language limitations. You see, vibration is so much bigger than your language allows. And so words must be chosen carefully and wisely in order to give you a deeper knowing of this connection.
Mhm. In the videos that we recorded a few minutes ago, you were really emphasizing the heart. And you did it in 3 distinct chunks of video, I guess you might say. Are you able to sum that up for our audience and maybe in a shorter version, tell them the importance of the heart and how best to connect with it?
Yes, you see, your heart is just in your center, and you know it as being a physical thing, and yet it is also an energetic thing. So, first we must clarify your heart, when we speak of it, is not only the physical beating heart inside of your body, it is also your energetic center. Yes. And so many of you study these energetic centers and you know of the ancient wisdoms, yes, the chakras, the line that runs up and down your body. And so these have been discovered in the past. We must rediscover them. And we must connect again more deeply to the energetic body of which the heart is the center, you see. And so we provided you, yes, many of you will follow some practices, very simple practices of saying the word heart, placing your hands on your heart. You will begin to notice your heart energy, yes. You will not actually notice your physical heart, you will notice the energy of your heart, the beating, you see, the vibration. And as you do this, so what we wish to explain, we gave you 3 steps in 3 separate videos. Number 1, connect to your heart. Simply done, easy to do, it must be done often. Number 2, release the fears. Releasing fears is a bit more challenging for many of you, you see. Many of you are not in safe places and must still hold on to some awareness, but not necessarily the fear. You see the difference. And so that was step 2, because ultimately what you are all wondering and where you wish to get to is to a purpose and meaning of why you are here, why you are experiencing the things you are experiencing. Yes? And so as you work through steps 1 and 2, connect to your heart, release the fear, you begin to be able to understand, not the good word, no, you begin to know. Understanding is not the correct word because that is a word of the mind, and so we must change this. And so you begin to know how interconnected in and of all things and all beings and all places you are. Because you are eternal, you are the eternal spark. Yeah? You are an awareness. You are not this body. You are not this mind. You are an awareness. You are an eternal source, spark, energy. You see, the words are difficult. When you come to know this, you will know it, you see. There is no easier way to explain it. You will know it when you feel it. And we wish to point out one thing that we mentioned. There is a point at which your awareness is in that moment. And it is such a tiny, tiny piece. And yet it is the most joyful and enlightened moment when source, here, source, and experience here come together, you see. And you have the contrast and you can see the contrast. And yet you can also see the infinite. There is a single point. That is a joyful point. That is what source wishes to experience, because without this contrast, you see, we cannot experience this most joyful point of existence. It is why you came. Those are the best words we can find to explain that to you. You will come to know it as you experience it, these points, as they happen for you, and they can happen at any time, you see.
The heart has been described as a portal, and many people feel they get messages or their intuition is somehow operating through the heart. Some might say gut. But would you comment, please, a little on this idea of a portal and giving us access to information?
Yes, and again, it comes back to how interconnected you are. You are in and of all things. And so, again, your mind is limiting your heart. Your heart is your center. Your mind is what helps you move through this world and navigate here. It is a tool, you see. And so, in order to connect to these things, in order to, for example, channel, yes, for you to do this, you must do it through your heart energies. Your heart energies are your strongest center point for this experience, you see. And so, as we bring these messages to you through this one, yes, she is not using her mind, she is using her heart. Her heart is speaking to you. Yes, it is not the mind. The mind could not do it, although we are using the language of the mind because we must. You cannot yet interpret the vibrational energy we are bringing to you, although you are on the path to knowing, you see. And yes, the heart is the portal. But again, when you call it this, you are putting a frame around it, you see. And so you must begin to release these, needing to define, label, and call it something, you see. You are all that is. You are infinite and unconditionally loved because you are all of it. You are all. A challenging notion, you see. Challenging for the mind, especially. And so when you sit together and connect with your hearts, when you meditate together, deeply into your hearts, you will begin to feel it, you see. It is a feeling and intuition, as you mentioned. Trust it, and know that it is safe. And you are always connected, always.
You've commented on the mind previously, and I think said that you can't really turn it off, but you can control it. Would you comment on that, please?
Certainly, yes. The mind is a very powerful tool that you have been provided here, you see. There is much to do and experience, and so much sensory information comes through to you as a physical being, you see. Your mind gives you the tools to navigate and to organize and to understand, you see. This is the word the mind uses. To organize, to label, to give you language, to be able to connect, to interpret and interact with this world as you are experiencing it, you see. The mind is a very powerful tool. But what it is also doing is providing a breakwater, shall we say, for the spirit source energy that flows in and through you. It's a breakwater so that you are not overwhelmed by it in this physical reality, so that you can remain here, so that you can experience the limitation, experience the boundaries, experience what many call the contrast. Yes, the good, the bad. You label these things and you are here to experience them. The negative and the positive, you see. Without the contrast, what is there? There is only being. There is only one energy. And so, the mind is a very powerful tool that has created this world for you to experience the contrast. And perhaps we should clarify, your mind did not necessarily create by itself, you see, because your mind is, again, in and of source and all that is. And so it is the tool that you are provided when you arrive so that you can navigate, experience, and organize what it is you are doing here.
Thank you. you've said that the heart can be a portal and messages can come through it. We also hear about the third eye as perhaps a focal point for such things as telepathy and other messages. So it looks like, or it sounds like maybe the heart isn't the only game here.
Mm.
Would you expand on that a little bit, please, and talk about some of the clairs, the clairvoyance, clairaudience, clairsentience, and what part of the chakra system's involved?
Yes, and yes, you are onto something here. You see, it is all again, it is all connected. There are energy centers at work along many points of your physical form. Your physical form is organized in such a way to allow you to have different experiences depending on where your focus lies, you see. And so, many of you have studied, practiced, and experienced the ways in which these portals of energy, we shall call them using your word, we think it is a good one, yes? Using these portals of energy in order to have different experiences here, you see. We are very much focused on the heart energy because this one has very strong heart energy. Also very strong throat chakra energy, you see. Being able to speak and vocalize. Now, when it comes to the third eye, yes, there is practice. In order to utilize the energies there are practices. And many of you have experienced these things from time to time. At moments you have a flash, you have a brief interlude where you are connecting into that third eye energy. And this can happen for all of you at any time. Again, if you ask and if you wish to experience these things, you see, some of you hold fear around them. You cannot experience them if you hold fear around them. But if you wish to experience them, you must release the fear and welcome them in. Use your voice. It is a powerful tool that you have to call in experiences from the different energy centers you see. And yes, they are fun and exciting things for you to do here in this physical reality. It is just a question of whether or not you wish to experience these things, you see. You may all do so. Takes practice.
Well, thank you. I have an eye on the clock here, and maybe by way of wrap up, if we are experiencing the world today, some people see it as a fair bit of turmoil. But really, I think it's more a clearing out of a lot of the old and dysfunctional and replacing it with things that are better. And there are different ways of looking at it, but I think as our vibrations increase, we tend to look at it with a little more calmness and see it for what it might well be. But I was wondering if you have any sort of final comment that would assist people to deal with what some might see as turmoil and others might just see as change.
Certainly, yes. And we feel the conflict here. You see, we feel it very strongly because we are in and of all things. And what we will say on this is very important. You all have a choice. You can choose. And now what we will speak to is, let's say, for example, you have two individuals, one who wishes to do harm and the other who wishes to not be harmed, you see. And so the more aggressive of the energies will take charge. And so for those who wish to not be harmed, you must, rather than passively not wishing to be harmed, You must take action. And this does not always happen as quickly as you wish it to. You see, people are shot and killed every day. It happens, yes, because the person wishing to do the harm has a more powerful energy behind what they are wishing to do in their choice, you see. We hope to explain this to you more clearly. However, these energies are all choices. You can choose to take action along the path of love and light, you see, but you must take action. You cannot sit back passively and just expect the world to get better, you see. The actions and practices you can take are these of connecting with your heart and connecting with each other. And when you are all connected and you realize you are all connected, you see, it will spread, it will spread. And those who are wishing to do harm will realize, oh, and when I shoot this person, I am doing harm to myself. And when they come to know this, you see how things will change? Do you see? It is a difficult thing because you must work through so much to get there. And it is the path you are on, you see. And that is why you have so much more awareness around these things. Awareness is the beginning step. And then knowing the next steps. That is important right now, you see, because you will hurt. You will hurt and you will be hurt. But you can change how you react and respond to that and how you take action forward along this path of the heart energies so that we can change the experience of more of the all that is in all of you, you see.
Well, that is very helpful. Thank you. And I can imagine that through Joy, you'll have more to say about this as people are wrestling, I would say, with what's going on right now. Thank you very much for all your messages today. And thank you very much for being here and being part of this interview. Many blessings to you.
You are most welcome.
We'll just give Karen a minute to come back. She's back, sort of.
Yeah, it's always the tears come through.
Now, tears of what?
Oh, just is the energy that comes through. I feel, I feel energized, but also tired. And only my leg falls asleep.
Energetic, but tired. Okay. We'll get our minds around that one. Karen, this was wonderful. Really, thank you. And if people want to get in touch with you, what's the best way for them to do that?
So I'm developing a website. It's going to be KarenJoyB.com. And I'll provide the link to Peter so it can be accessed here.
I can attach it at the end.
Yep, that's the best way to get a hold of me.
Okay, great. Well, Karen, thank you very much for being here and doing this. There's some wonderful messages here. And keep them coming, because I think there's a lot of people saying, I need a little more information. I need a little more help. I need another tool. You know, we're all in that boat where we're scrambling a little bit.
Yeah, if we're still here, if we're still here, then we're still experiencing it and we need help. Yeah.
Well, thank you and many blessings to you.
You're so welcome. Thank you, Peter.